This is my cosc project final demo video. First of all, the early testing stage. I'll just describe that quickly. My idea was very broad at the prototype stage, and I didn't quite know where to start, so I made two little code snippets and tested them with students. One was a snap game, and one was a lesson sequence. So this is the snap game, and players join and basically play snap to test their vocabulary using the keys on a keyboard. So it's pretty simple. If they match, they should snap. If they don't match, they shouldn't snap, and it's just a way for kids to practice and have fun competing against each other. The other thing I prototyped was just a lesson sequence. So this was paired with a video where I explained the grammar point, and then this is a little quiz to test their knowledge of it. So they need to figure out what type of verb they're looking at, which was part of the lesson, and then complete this and get feedback. Of these two types of games, I found that the snap game was sort of where my app original idea should have been, but it didn't really seem like there was a compelling need. Compared to with the grammar lesson sequence, I think it was less aligned with my overall goals, but talking to students, I felt like that would be a more useful area to develop. So I decided to go down that route. So now I'll go through my web app demo. So this demo is actually usable on the web. The reason I did it like that was because it's just very easy to share, and also I'm quite comfortable with JavaScript and web technology from a course last year. So I thought I'd have a go at using that. So on the website, first of all, you go to the website. This is just a cookie, so that's a very basic login functionality. And we have these, oh sorry, I should be demoing this as a web app, but whoops. Okay, so this is the mobile view, and there's two parts. The verb type, the first part explains what type of verbs there are in Japanese, and the second part is how to conjugate them in a certain way, broken up into 4 stages. So you start with a YouTube video, and you can watch the video here, and that just
used to join or list verbs.
That briefly explains the concept, and I tried to keep it as short as possible, and then a little challenge for the user. So I'll go through one of these. So this is basically categorizing the verbs into either godan or ichidan. And it's very important for users to know how to categorize the verbs. Otherwise, they'll have a great deal of difficulty conjugating them. And this is a really key grammar point when you're learning Japanese, so I thought it'd be a good one to focus on. Okay. So once the test finishes, the student gets some feedback, and then they're asked to do a self-rating at this point. And continue on from there. Okay, at this point, there's no feedback about how far the user is progressing or how well they appear in the class, but all of that data is being stored. So at the moment, each time the user does a lesson, it basically saves a JSON format of their lesson. Okay. Eventually, what I'd like to do is just so the user knows what they've done and how far they've done, and they can get that reinforcing feedback. I'd like to add progress on here, and also I'd like it so that a teacher could potentially have a look at everyone in the class, and see where they were up to with their work. Okay, so this making the Teform, it's the same deal basically. It's a slightly different challenge. There's a video, and then a slightly different challenge. They actually have to conjugate the verbs, and they have learnt how to do that from the video that they've just watched. Okay, this auto predict is pretty annoying, but I didn't encounter that when I was actually testing. Okay, all right, and then once again, when you finish, it's the same. Give a bit of feedback, rate your confidence, and go on from there. Okay. So I got very good feedback from the students. They seemed quite keen to use it, and they liked competing amongst each other to get the high score. Most of the feedback was quite positive, and there were lots of little things that I could change about the layout or the instructions that would make it easier for the students to understand. Okay, what didn't I develop? There was no oral aspect, so I wanted to have listening in this app. I think that could be incorporated in the current format fairly easily. Yeah, that would be something I'd like to develop. There was no collaborative or competitive tasks, so what I'd like to do is maybe develop that and make a competition so that students could see how well they were going against their mates. There were no ask a teacher tasks where, although it was assigned online, the students completed the task by asking their teacher, and there's no leaderboard progress function, although that is sort of there in the data being saved is there at least. It's just not being reproduced. So where to from here? First, I think consolidation would be really important. I made some compromises in the programming to get it to where it is now. So I'd like to go in and refactor and fix all of the fix all that. Well, that does run pretty well. I don't think there are any major bugs in there. So I think I'd also like to do user testing just to make sure that users could use the site independently, because a lot of the stuff that I was planning and I thought would be obvious wasn't actually obvious for the students, and it's still at a stage where I have to sit there and basically be a guide just in case something goes wrong. So I'd like to make sure it was nice and clear so that anyone could use it independently. I think the progress function would be really important to add. That's always very motivating for a user and really useful information for the teacher too. Adding the sound files would be one thing I'd want to add, and then after that it might be just a case of increasing the content to include different grammar forms, and also bring in some vocabulary learning, and do it in a way that made the website extendable, so it didn't have to be, I guess, hard coded into the site each time. I could come up with a format where it minimized the amount of work to upload new lessons. Okay, thanks for watching my demo.